Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about maintenance, so that conversation is coming up. So as you may or may not know, one of the big draws to EVs is zero maintenance. This is mostly true, but you're still driving a car, so I'm going to say there's very little maintenance over zero maintenance. So unlike your gas car that has an engine and has a million moving parts, which those a million moving parts need to be maintained, EVs have very few parts, very few moving parts, and very little maintenance. There's really only a few things you need to keep track of for EVs. Brake fluid is one of them. Most people that know nothing about cars will neglect this, but it's really important to change your brake fluid every 2 to 3 years to make sure that your brakes perform properly. Most people who support never changing their brake fluid will say, "Oh, I've never changed my brake fluid and my brakes work fine." Well, the point is, if you don't change your brake fluid and you need to slam on your brakes, you may not be able to stop in time. So there's a big difference there. And this is because when brake fluid gets old, it starts to absorb moisture. And basically what that means is it's going to lower the boiling point of the fluid. In layman's terms, this means that the car is going to take longer to stop and the brake pedal may or may not feel spongy. If you live in an area where it snows and they salt the roads, you're going to want to lubricate your calipers and caliper pins every year or every 2,500 miles to make sure that the brake caliper and the pads are sliding nicely. That salt on the road is really going to do a number on the car, and salt is going to turn into rust, and then basically rust means that the calipers and pads will not be sliding correctly, meaning you may not be able to stop. So of course by doing a yearly check, you avoid this because you are going to lubricate your calipers and pins, and then you make sure everything is not rusted and sliding properly so you can brake when you need a brake. Cabin air filter is another simple maintenance item you need to do, and this can easily be done yourself. So if you have a normal cabin air filter, it's recommended every 2 years, or if you have a HEPA filter, it's recommended every 3 years. Being an old school car guy, I like to change cabin air filters and regular air filters that aren't relevant for EVs on mileage intervals rather than years, because everybody drives a different amount of mileage each year. So normally I would do it every 30,000 miles, which is pretty standard when you're doing a major tune, you're doing all these fluids and stuff. You change the filters as well. But if you want to be conservative, I would recommend changing the cabin air filter every 20,000 miles. And rotating your tires is the last maintenance item. And obviously you're going to need to do this either a gas car or electric. And since I last checked the owner's manual, it looks like Tesla actually updated their guidance on this. Because before it just used to say, just rotate your tires every 60 to 50 miles. But this really depends on how you drive and what kind of tires you have to begin with. So let's just assume you have normal people all-season tires. Normally on these types of tires that get about 40 to 50,000 miles over the life of the tire, you want to rotate them every 10,000 miles. But a better way to do this, and now something that Tesla mentions in the owner's manual, is to rotate your tires when the fronts and backs are 2/32 of an inch in difference. So in order to do this, you're going to need a tread depth gauge, so I'll link you in the description to one of those. And then I also have a video on how to actually do this so you can understand exactly what that means, and so you can see the differences between the tread depths from the front and the back of the tire. Besides that, the only other stuff you need to do is just change your wiper blades when needed and add wiper fluid when needed. And those two items are obviously going to vary depending on your weather conditions and how often you use them and things like that. And that's it. That's all the maintenance items you need to take care of for an EV. A lot less headache than a gas car, and you're going to be saving money in the long run on top of that. Is a little maintenance of an EV a draw for you? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.